Georgia. And on the edge of downtown, the Georgia Dome. The new look Falcons.
The NFL's got a huge problem going on right now. That problem is called CTE. If you don't know what CTE is, you've probably been living under a rock for the past couple years.
Chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
76 of 79 deceased NFL players suffered from the degenerative brain disease chronic traumatic encephalopathy, caused by repeated head trauma where the functioning of the brain is interrupted and nerve cells begin to die. It is associated with memory loss, confusion, impaired judgment, impulse control problems, aggression, depression, and eventually progressive dementia.
Until you've had a concussion, you can't imagine how that feels.
So people have always known that playing tackle football causes injuries. Okay, I'm gonna play football and maybe I'm gonna break my legs. Maybe I won't be able to run when I'm 50. Players have known that forever, but what we didn't know is that playing tackle football can cause really long-term brain injuries.
In a recent study of the brain tissue of 128 former football players, almost 80% of all the football players and more than 95% of the former NFL players in the study suffered from the disease.
Over the past few years, a number of former players have committed suicide after battling depression.
Multiple NFL players have donated their brains to science after they've passed away.
Though symptoms may be present for years, CTE can only be diagnosed after the player dies.
Apart from the 50 deceased former players confirmed to have it, they can only suspect that hundreds more are living with it right now.
Part of the problem is the concussions. The other part was the NFL waiting so long to admit that there was a problem and now basically doing nothing about it.
Now, for years, the NFL has avoided saying whether or not football is related to CTE.
For a while, the NFL was completely repressing research. They were telling players that concussions were a relatively safe type of injury to suffer.
Do you think there is a link between football and degenerative brain disorders like CTE?
The answer to that question is certainly yes.
The NFL finally agreed to a $1 billion settlement.
It's important to remember that the deal does not include any admission of wrongdoing by the NFL. It just means that both sides were ready to move on. That leaves the NFL on the hook for about $1 billion. That's less than what the NFL earns in a typical season in sponsorships alone.
The case was settled in April 2015 without an admission of wrongdoing for over $1 billion to be paid out over the next 65 years to more than 20,000 NFL retirees. Bloomberg Business estimates the NFL's revenue is $9.5 billion per year.
That'll pay the families of victims with CTE if they meet the criteria. Now, not everyone gets paid the same amount for that settlement.
That's a question at the heart of a settlement between the NFL and thousands of ex-players who are suing the league over head injuries. Under the settlement, a player's brain could be worth as much as $5 million, or it could be worth zero. Basically, it works by calculating payouts based on three factors. First, how old was the player when he developed a qualifying condition? Second, how serious is the illness? And third, how long did he play?
The settlement is a good start, but that's exactly what it is, a start. There are still hundreds of unreported concussions happening each year. I feel this problem will never be fixed. As fans, we crave the big hits and when the best player from the opposing team is knocked out of the game. No change will come until we, the consumer, the fans, make it happen. I doubt in our lifetime technology will catch up to the physical nature of this gladiator sport. Imagine your kid becoming starting quarterback of his high school team, goes out, plays his heart out, and then gets concussed in the fourth quarter. Imagine it was your brother who played football for years, and then at the age of 45 commits suicide because he suffered from CTE. Imagine you followed your dream, worked hard, and made it to the NFL, and one crushing blow brings it all to a halt. You're told it's part of the job, and then carted off to the locker room. You're given some type of settlement if you meet the criteria, that is, and then tossed to the side, because in the NFL, it's just next man up.